Question number 8 kind of looks like question number 7. There's an equation that is very complicated looking. It's some scary algebra that might make us think we're in over our heads. But the solution is the same. When we have scary algebra, we should think, well, can I get rid of it? Can I use numbers instead of letters? Because numbers are easier for my brain and they're less prone to mistakes. So in this case, we cannot guess and check because the answer choices are not nice either. They're messy equations, and so we can't put those back into the question in any way. But the fact that we have variables in the start of the question, in the question itself, and that we have variables in the end tells me that those variables probably don't matter, which means I should try to arithmetize. Let's make the numbers disappear by making up our own numbers and seeing how they play in the equations, because we can see what the equations do by using a number instead of thinking abstractly about it and using algebra rules here. So this is a question where I think a lot of people are going to be scared, but in my opinion, this is a must-get question. With the strategies, there's no excuse here. So what should we do? Well, they do give us a constraint. X is greater than 3, so let's follow the rules. Let's make x 4. So what do? Well, they tell us to put f of x over g of x, so I can do that, right? So that's going to be x to the third minus 9x over x squared minus 2x minus 3. But remember, I'm getting rid of these x's. So let's get rid of them. Let's actually make those x's into 4s. So I'm just going to even erase here. Let's just get rid of them and make them 4s. Okay. Now, there is a little bit of an annoying thing. We're going to have to do 4 to the third, right? But we know 4 squared, right? 4 squared is 16. And how would we get 4 to the third? We just multiply it by 4 again. So just if you need to, do the math. 6 times 4 is 24. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 64. So okay, not so bad. So 64 minus 9 times 4 is 36, divided by 16 minus 8 minus 3. Let's clean it up. 64 minus 36, again, we can do that on the side. 64 minus 36, that becomes a 5, that becomes a 14, that becomes an 8, and that becomes a 2. 28 over 8 minus 3 is 5. Now that's a weird looking number that might scare us. But it's okay, it's a simplified form and it's a fraction. And look, all of the answer choices are fractions. So it's going to work itself out. And now is the other final step of arithmetize is we need to take the number that we started with, and if we made all the x's in the question into 4s, we need to make all the x's in the answers equal to 4. And since we're looking for an equivalent expression, we better get that same answer, that 28 over 5. So we can see right away with choice A that that's not going to happen. Let me just do this. We want 28 over 5. That's our magic number. And this is going to be 1 over 4 plus 1, so this is just 1 over 5. Not good enough. Here we're going to have 4 plus 3 over 4 plus 1, so that's 7 over 5. Not 28 over 5. Here we have 4 times 4 minus 3 over 4 plus 1. We can kind of see what's going to happen here. That 4 minus 3 is going to be a 1, and then 1 times 4 is 4 over 5. It better be D. I'm going to try it. I'm not going to just pick it. 4 times 4 plus 3 over 4 plus 1. So let's go down here. That's 4 times 7 over 5. 4 times 7 is 28 over 5. Exactly what I wanted. It's the same answer. It's equivalent. Now occasionally we'll pick a bad number and we'll get multiple answers that are equivalent, and we might need to then try a new number, but I would say much more often this happens, where only one answer works and we are done with the question. So this to me, yes, maybe it's a little tedious, but it gets me the right answer if I just am careful. Don't lose negatives, distribute, things like that. Now there is a faster way that involves doing the actual algebra, and I'll show it to you, but here's the thing. if you didn't know how to do the algebra way, that is no excuse for getting this question wrong, because we have a strategy that can help us instead. That's the key with the strategies. Sometimes, yeah, algebra is going to be better. It wasn't the case on number 7. I highly recommend that you watch that video if you didn't, but it might be better in certain cases. But the problem is going to be in the midst of the test. If you don't know how to do the algebra, you can't learn it instantly, right? So you either learn it now or you're going to need some sort of solution in the moment. And that's what is so great about the strategies, is they're going to provide a backdoor in a lot of cases to get you points that you might have to give up on if you don't know the rules. So let's do what they tell us here. Let's do, like I said before, x to the third minus 9x over x squared minus 2x minus 3. And judging by the answer choices, it looks like I'm going to need to factor because there's a lot of those parentheses. So that's what my instinct would be here, is to factor this. So when I do, the top is going to have a common term, right? There's a common x that I can factor out. So this is going to be x times x squared minus 9. And the bottom is going to be normal factoring. So that's going to be x minus 3 times x plus 1. All right, I need a number that multiplies to negative 3 and adds to negative 2. And so there you go. Now we're not done factoring though, because x squared minus 9 can be factored even further. So now we'd have x times, this is difference of two squares, which is often called dots factoring. So that's going to be x plus 3, x minus 3 over x minus 3, x plus 1. And because all these terms are being multiplied, if there's any term that's on the top and on the bottom, it can get crossed out, which leaves us with just the terms that are left. X times x plus 3 over x plus 1, which was my answer. So yeah, if you're really comfortable with factoring, that's probably faster. But there's a lot of places to mess up. There's a lot of stumbling blocks that we might hit. And like I said, if you don't know how to factor, you can't really get it that way. So we need the other solutions. In this case, even though I know how to factor, I would still have done the arithmetize here, because I trust the strategies more. I know that on the SAT, algebra is very risky because I'm very prone to mistakes, because I'm moving fast, it's a time constraint, I'm going to be tired. So the strategies minimize that. That is why I emphasize them. And I think number 7 and number 8 together, these two questions are really good at showing you why they're so helpful on things that look like they're going to be really, really hard.